Hi, welcome to this unboxing and review of the Tririg Omega X brake. If you're already familiar with the Omega brake and you want to learn more about the new generation, the Omega X, this is the right video for you. So let's get right into it. The Omega brake, the Omega X brake, is packaged incredibly well. Much better than the old brake. The old brake shipped in a regular cardboard box with pieces just rattling around. As you can see, the body of this brake is packaged extremely well. There's definitely not a worry about parts getting damaged during shipping. Underneath the brake body, there is brake hardware. The brake hardware includes the brake pads and some of the serrated spacers for mounting, different lengths of bolt for your center through hole mount, and a couple of different mounting options if you have the direct mount standard on your fork. There's a medium size, and then there's a longer size if you need it. For my bike, I don't use the direct mount standard. My bike uses the single through hole standard, which are what these bolts are for. The brake pads are the same brake pads that were used on the original Omega brake, which are Tririg's Cool Stop Salmon brake pads, which I've used for a number of years, and I think they're terrific for aluminum rims. One of the big differences that you're going to notice right away with the Omega X is that the axis to the innards of the brake body is now a magnetic axis, so you don't have to mess with those little 2.5 millimeter mounting bolts from the original Omega brake. One of the things I was wondering when I got this new brake is how it compared weight-wise to the old brake. So that's what we're going to find out right now. For my bike setup, I mentioned it was a single bolt center bolt design, and I use the medium spacer, and this is actually the right bolt length for my bike setup right here. So I have the brake body, the brake pads, and the mounting bolt. And I should turn it on first. This setup comes in at 144 grams. To my right, I have the original Omega brake. The brake body, brake pads are on there, and the mounting hardware. It comes in at 124 grams, so approximately a 20 gram difference in weight. So the new brake is a little bit heavier, but I think that the improvements to the new brake are justification enough for the extra weight that they added. And I'm going to talk about some of those right now. I've already mentioned the fact that they have easier access. In fact, I'll put both of them in the view here so you can see. The axis now is, of course, magnetic, so that's very nice. But a major difference is that's not quite as visible is the difference with the wedge. And let me remove the wedge, and I want to talk about a couple of features on the wedge that really make a difference. The first thing that you're going to notice is that the new wedge has some deeper cutouts towards the top of the wedge that are absent on the original wedge. Now what those do is make the brake feel a lot snappier. That's the best word I could think of to describe it when I engage and disengage the brake. The old brake always felt a little bit spongy to me when I engaged and disengaged the brake. I don't like that feeling, but it was a compromise I was willing to live with because I thought that the aesthetics and the aerodynamics of the Omega brake were so great. With this new brake, I still get aerodynamics and I still get some great aesthetics, but I also get that great snappy feel on the brake. Another difference on the wedge is this little protrusion on the back of the new Omega brake. And on the old Omega brake, you can see that protrusion is on the front of the wedge. And I hope that shows up in the video. The purpose of those protrusions is to guide the wedge so that it stays vertically when it gets pulled. So in the new brake, the wedge is on the back, and that wedge rides in this slot that you can see right here. In the old brake, as I said before, the protrusion is on the front of the wedge, and that protrusion was inside of this slot right here. So there's a couple of reasons why I like the new design better. First of all, the old design, that metal wedge was riding up and down this plastic wear part right here. So that you have those two different surfaces rubbing on each other, and if this wasn't bolted in sufficiently, it wasn't going to provide adequate guidance for that wedge. With the new design, the wedge rides inside the actual metal body of the brake itself, which is nice because they're going to wear nicely together. You don't have metal on plastic, you have metal on metal. The other thing is that when I take the cover off of the new brake, the wedge is going to stay in place and not start wiggling side to side. That really makes installation of the brake cable much easier on the newer model than on the old model. And it also makes slight brake adjustments and cleaning of the inside a lot easier with this new design. So that's a big improvement. And now the most obvious improvement is that there is now an increased amount of adjustment in the brake wing itself down here. The old brake, you can see all they had was a single bolt hole that of course provides rotational adjustment of the brake pad. But here you have not only a rotational adjustment, but you also have vertical adjustment. In the old brake, that vertical adjustment was provided by this slot right here, which was inadequate for some wheel setups. Some wheels, as you know, do not sit perfectly symmetrical inside of your fork. So if it was leaning 1 millimeter one way or the other, the adjustment provided in this brake just wouldn't cut it. Particularly if you have carbon wheels and you needed to get that brake pad down far enough so that you're engaging the carbon rim at the right spot so you're not overheating the carbon rim. I had no difficulties adjusting this brake for my carbon wheels, whereas the older brake, I could not get the pads adjusted so that it engaged the carbon wheels safely. That was one of my main motivators for getting the new Omega brake. Let me pan over here so you can see the brake installed. I have it installed here on the front. And I'll pan over to the back where you can see the old Omega. Probably should have wiped it off before I took the video, but it's still, the old Omega brake is still an excellent brake. I had many thousands of great miles on it, but the new brake provides a little bit of extra adjustability, which is important, and I really do like the new brake feel. It feels a lot snappier than the old brake. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please like and subscribe. Thanks, bye.